How's that? I had almost all of them on. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight, and those of you watching and participating in other ways. Before we begin, I would invite you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Rick Evans will bring the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again, Lord, for bringing us all here safely tonight. We pray that you will help all the mayors and the governors and the president during this trying time to help guide them in the things that they need to do with the things that are going on right now in the United States and in the world, Lord. Pray that you keep all of our citizens safe and our employees safe and guide us in the decision we make tonight to help the city of Springdale. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rick. All right, I would like to again welcome everyone to tonight's regular meeting of the Springdale City Council. This is Monday, I'm sorry, I've got the wrong thing here. This is Tuesday, April 14th of 2020, and I'll ask our city clerk to begin by calling the roll.
Mayor Sprouse.
Here.
Amelia Williams.
Here.
Jeff Watson.
Here.
Mike Overton.
Here.
Mike Lawson.
Here.
Rick Evans.
Here.
Ryan Powell.
Don't have him yet. Okay.
Kathy J. Cox.
Here.
Ernest Kate.
Here.
All right. Let us know when he joins, Luis, please. I know he's driving, so hopefully he'll find a good place to pull over and join us. All right. This is the portion of the meeting, each meeting, that we set aside for comments from citizens. The council will hear brief comments from our citizens during this period concerning issues that are not already on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone, and y'all are going to have to help me out there, is there anyone that came to address the council? Okay. No one here in person. Don't believe anybody's calling in, so we will move on to the approval of minutes. You've had those minutes. If there are no changes or additions, I'd entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. You got to speak up with that mask on. All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. What's your pleasure on procedural motions, council?
I move for A and B.
Okay, we've got a motion for A and B.
Second.
And a second. Roll call, please.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
J. Cox. Yes. Williams.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Carry 6-0.
All right, thank you. Item 7, we are pleased tonight to welcome Boy Scout Troop 107. They meet at and sponsored by the Springdale First Methodist Church, and they're attending tonight's council meeting via Zoom in order to fulfill requirements for the Citizenship and Community Badge. That's a prerequisite for Eagle Scout. So, guys, we are very happy to have you with us today. You have anything you'd like to say? We're not, okay, hold on just a second. We're not getting audio. Is he muted or can? All right, try it again.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
This is Tyler Craddock. I'm an Assistant Scoutmaster for Troop 107. I just want to tell you and your fellow council members, thank you so much for hosting us tonight, allowing us to attend the meeting. And I also want to thank Ms. Beth and Louise. Your administrative staff could not have been more kind and helpful in helping facilitate this requirement for us. So we greatly appreciate y'all very much. Hope everybody's families are healthy and safe.
All right. Well, thank you, and it is a pleasure. I know the council agrees. It's a great pleasure to have you all joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll move on to item 8, and this is a resolution making a reappointment to the Springdale Civil Service Commission.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, please, oh, I can't do that. Boy, I wish I could. I'd do that all the rest of the night. Denise, go ahead.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Jaycox, Williams,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, and thank you. I know he's watching, or he
Brian, if y'all can hear
he
me.
offered to be here, Bob Downham, who has served just over one term, and we're pleased that he's willing to continue to serve and appreciate his willingness to do that. So, Bob, thank you, and thank you for reappointing him, council. Item 9 is Planning Commissioner's Report and Recommendations by Patsy Christie, Director of Planning and Community Development. Patsy?
The first item is an amendment to Section 112 of the Code of Ordinances, which is the subdivision regulations. And we're going to be bringing to you in the next couple of months updates to those ordinances that haven't been tweaked or taken care of in quite some time. We're having a little bit more time with City Hall being closed, so we're getting a few more things. What this does is allow us to put in a definition of what a replat is. We didn't have a definition in the past. And the other items that it's taken care of, before we were asking for 15 to 18 copies of the plans, the preliminary plats, and that kind of stuff. That was at the time when we were sending hard copies out to all the Planning Commission members for them to get copies. Now each one of the Planning Commission members has an iPad, and we send it to them digitally. So it's unnecessary for us to get that many copies of everything. So you'll see in each one of these items, we are taking it down to 3 hard copies and a digital copy, as well as a digital drainage report and a digital written responses. So those can be directly uploaded into a Dropbox or to each of the Planning Commission members into your Dropboxes, so you'd have that information, so we don't have to cut so many trees to get all that work done. We've taken out the Section D, which is replats. Again, when you go over to final plats, it's the same thing, changing the number of copies. We are asking that we get the original recorded adopting ordinance back after it's been recorded. We've been able to do that most of the time, but if somebody wanted to push the issue, we didn't have any way to enforce that. So we added that to it. Again, digital copies, set the replat fee of $250, and I think that's missing out of the copy that you all have, but it was in the copy that was sent to Planning Commission. We'll go back and add that. The replat fee of $250, we missed that one. But basically, that's all we're doing. I'll add it.
The table's not in the packet either.
Oh, and then there,
Hey,
yeah.
Doug, this is Brian, if y'all can hear me.
Hey, Brian, we got you now. Thank you.
All righty.
We're on,
Yeah.
you have the agenda in front of you?
Yes, we're on 9A.
You're with it. I had to go check. You're right. All right, thanks, Brian.
All right.
And
Go
then
ahead,
Patsy.
we're adding it as an exhibit that you should have gotten in the packet, and I guess it didn't go out. The table that's in the ordinance now has X's and boxes. And what we went back and said, yes, we want this, or no, we don't. So you don't have to interpret, does the X mean yes, you do, or no, you don't? It just says yes or no, and that's basically what that's changing. So that's what is encompassed in this ordinance change. It looks long, but that's so you know all those changes. Planning Commission held a public hearing on this. We didn't have any comments concerning this change, and is recommending that the ordinance be adopted. The title of the ordinance reads, an ordinance amending Section 112 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Springdale, Arkansas, and for other purposes.
Move the ordinance do pass.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance. Are there any other questions or comments? Anyone? Okay. Denise?
Jaycox? Yes. Williams?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Overton?
Yes.
Lawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Powell?
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
And it doesn't have an emergency clause. We can put this into the process as we move forward. The next item is a replat of Lot 7 and adding lots 8 and 9 of Oakwood Park subdivision. This is a subdivision where Steve Miller lives. He is taking his larger tract, dividing it into 2 more tracts, and adding some property from one tract that's in Lot 7 and creating a new lot at 8 and 9. Planning Commission reviewed all this. There's not any due dedications. It's really just an internal replat of his property. Planning Commission reviewed this replat and recommends approval. The title of the ordinance reads, an ordinance accepting the replat of Lot 7 and adding lots 8 and 9 Oakwood Park subdivision to the city of Springdale, Arkansas, and declaring an emergency.
Move the ordinance do pass.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Anyone? Okay, Denise?
Williams,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Powell,
Yes.
Jaycox.
This one did have emergency clause.
Can
The
you,
emergency clause.
can
be
you lean
adopted.
into that a little? Thanks, Ernest. Go, I'm sorry, we got a motion for the
Emergency
emergency clause? And a second. Okay.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Powell,
Yes.
Jaycox. Williams,
Yes.
Both the ordinance emergency clause carry 7-0.
All right, thank you. Item 10, Streets and Capital Improvements Committee, Chairman Rick Evans. Rick?
Okay, we had a meeting last week at Street and CIP. We have one resolution on the agenda tonight, and it was the committee that brought forward with records of approval. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to an engineering service contract with Garber for $34,250, and this is for the relocation of the water and sewer system at the intersections of Park and Emma.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I have a couple, Mayor. Number one, if this is for the water and sewer, this is, isn't this over there on the intersection we've got by the post office?
No.
No, this is.
No,
done by
this
the
is,
Layman's.
this is Park. This is the two realignments that we're having designed at Park and Emma and Park and Cottle.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, I'd like to see, is the engineer here, I'd like to see a layout of that thing. I drove by that today, and there were a couple of things. Number one, for water realignment, they got a manhole right in the center of the street of Maple on the,
No, we haven't even started this one yet.
okay, but this one on the other side,
You're talking about the extension of Maple.
yeah, the extension of Maple over there, I'd like to see what that thing looks like, because that looks like SpongeBob SquarePants have designed that, just like he did the zebras on Holcomb Street.
All right, we can
Looks like a
sure,
big mess.
we can sure get that to you.
I'd like to see that.
That doesn't have anything to do with this.
That's not, okay, I'm sorry, that
That's
this
okay.
is,
We'll-
Cobble
we'll-
and, oh, this is for the roundabout?
Well, it's for, they're proposing kind of a roundabout at Park, Cottle, and Powell. They're by
Yeah.
the Housing Authority.
Yeah.
And then the same, they're doing, as part of that same contract, they're doing the intersection, the realignment of Berry and Park at Emma.
Oh, okay,
All
okay,
right?
yeah.
And,
Gotcha.
and that's not going to be a roundabout. That's going to be a regular intersection, but they're
Okay,
realigning.
but they're just gonna straighten they're gonna take some property off of one side
Right.
and straighten it up so it's a straighter
Right, and we can
shot.
get you those plans too, but
Yeah,
but
no.
we'll make sure Brad sends out what they've.
Yeah, I'd
what
like to
they've
see
got.
that,
Yeah.
that approach there on Maple, then that extension.
Are you
down
more
through-
concerned on the Maple, on the east end?
I'm on the east end, and I also like to see the, how they're designing the west side of the tract approach.
Where it crosses
there.
the railroad tracks?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We'll make sure y'all get that.
Yeah, I really would like to see that, because that's a interesting arrangement.
Okay. Any other questions on this one, on item 10?
Ready?
All right, let's vote.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Evans.
Yes, ma'am.
Powell,
Yes.
Jaycox. Williams,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
All right, thank you. Item 11 is Parks and Rec Committee. Chairman's Mike Lawson. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. We met last week, Parks and Rec, and we've got one item tonight before us. It was recommended for approval. I'll read the resolution. It's a resolution appropriating funds for the Parks and Recreation Department, CIP number 1904. It's basically a remodel of the upstairs of the new recreation center we bought, and we're going to spend, it looks like, not over appropriation of $300,000, and that'll come out of park set aside, I believe. and it's for office space upstairs to get them moved all under one building.
Okay?
Move the resolution be adopted.
Chad is here if anybody's got questions.
Might also mention they have to be out of their present location on September the 1.
Yes.
Right.
I think this allows Chad about 3 months, he thinks, to get this done.
Yeah, they're currently, Parks and Rec, your staff is currently meeting in the Blair Street building, and that's going to be needed for
City clerk's
clerk.
private
City
office,
clerk.
yeah.
Yeah, and planning. Right.
Office.
Denise.
Get out by September.
The other thing that was pretty interesting about this was Chad's going to be able to use some of his own people, too, to help with this project, and I think that's nice that he can utilize those guys at a time like this. So,
Yeah. Okay. Did we had a motion and a second, I believe? Any other questions or comments? Okay, Denise?
Lawson,
yes, ma'am.
Evans, Powell,
Yes.
Jaycox, Williams,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Carry 7-0.
All right, thank you. Item 12, Police and Fire Committee, Chairman Brian Powell. Brian, are you in a position, you comfortable going ahead and leading that discussion?
I am.
All right, man. Take it away.
All right, thanks, Mayor. The Police and Fire Committee met last week, and we have one item to bring up. It's a resolution that was recommended for approval, and I'll read the resolution. A resolution accepting the guaranteed maximum price for the construction of Springdale Fire Station Number 9, Project 18BPF3. And if I understand this correctly, this bid came in at a very good price. I believe we're saving around $35,000 on it. And if Chief Irwin is there, if we could expand on this a little bit if he'd like to.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Chief is coming forward in case we have any other questions.
Thank you all, and you're correct in about $35,000 savings over what the bid was on Station 8.
That's great. Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Are there any other questions or comments? For those watching at home or listening, this Station 9 will be our station in the northwest portion of the city, actually on the northwest piece of our Shaw Family Park that's under construction right now. It'd be the corner of Ball and Cary Smith, or West Downham. I'm not sure where West Downham turns into Cary Smith.
Downham and Ball.
Downham and Ball. Okay, there we go. Now I know. All right. All right. If there are no other comments, I'll ask Denise to call for the vote.
Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Powell,
Yes.
Jaycox, Williams,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton.
Yes.
Lawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Carry 7-0.
All right. Thanks, Chief. Thank you, Brian. Item 13, Finance Committee. Finance Committee Chair is Jeff Watson. Jeff?
Finance Committee forwarded a resolution having to do with payment of an invoice for construction renovation of the Springdale Municipal Campus. The resolution was recommended for approval, and the title of the resolution is a resolution authorizing payment of an invoice project number 18BPC1. It's the Milestone Construction for payment of invoice of 1.2 million, just over 1.2 million.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Move the resolution be adopted.
Got a motion and a second. Again, for those that may not be aware, council requires, or we require council approval of any invoice over $1 million. And that's the case, but this is, as Jeff read, part of our municipal campus bond project. Any other comments or questions? All right, Denise.
Doug, is this,
whoa.
are we,
Go ahead, Brian.
are we still on schedule for this to be at the completion date that they've given us?
They're a little behind, last I heard. Wyman, they're working hard to catch up. I think with some good weather, I think they will. But we're probably looking at November now instead of October of next year. I'm sorry, of this year. Okay?
Got it, thanks.
All right, you bet. Okay, Denise?
Powell,
Yes.
Jaycox, Williams,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Lawson, Evans,
Yes, ma'am.
Carry 7-0.
So the next item, I do not recall, maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't recall that coming from the Finance Committee, so I'll turn that over to you, Mayor.
All right. Just clarification, it was forwarded by the Finance Committee 2 committee meetings ago, and I may have misunderstood you, but I asked you at the end of the last council meeting, or the last committee meeting, if you wanted it put under Finance, and you indicated
Fine.
to do that. So,
Okay.
okay. I wasn't trying to do anything.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine.
okay.
I just couldn't remember.
This is a resolution authorizing the creation of a new position and appropriating funds for the new position. The resolution has been updated since committee considered this, I think probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago probably. We had an extra week. And with a different amount. The amount has been reduced because we've had some time pass. I think it's 54, is that right? How much? 54.3. Okay, thanks, Kathy. I'm not there right now. I won't tarry long about this. I've made my point, and I think I've made the arguments I need to make. This is a position that I first brought it up publicly as part of my State of the City address. I think it's very important that we move forward with succession planning. I know that Wyman he's set a target date for retirement. I have every intention of working with Wyman and hope that target date holds. But we're in a position now that Wyman, and I'm not telling y'all anything you don't know, but Wyman he holds a key position for our city. And over this next year and a half to 2 years, we've got some things happening that are going to happen regardless of whether this virus, whether it's over in a month or whether it's over in 3 months. We have millions of dollars in bond projects that Wyman is currently the lead person in managing. We've got some labor-intensive moves of whole departments. Some we've referenced tonight. Over the next few months, and then again, as this remodel is finished in just over a year, or probably about a year and a half, those things are going to go on, along with the normal responsibilities that Wyman currently has and has had for years, and those are many and varied. It is my opinion that we're not going to, if whether it's 2022 or if circumstances dictate that it be earlier than that, and I hope they don't, but if they do, we're not going to hire someone to walk in here and be able to take over what Wyman does. And it can really put our city at a disadvantage and put us in a predicament in some areas. That's why I think, every large corporation, and I think as a organization with almost 600 employees, I think we would qualify, have succession planning in place. I think that succession planning, I don't think anyone's thrown that succession planning out the window because of this coronavirus, because we're all looking and hoping for a quick end to this and to move on and for our economy to bounce back. So I believe this is still important. I know that some, and I understand it, I know that some are concerned about the timing. Sometimes we don't get to choose the perfect timing. Sometimes things are important enough that we need to move on, especially as we're preparing for our future. And we could make the argument that that $300,000 right now for a remodel of Parks and Rec is not perfect timing either. But I appreciate the support and the recognition that it's important, and that sometimes timing isn't what we always want it to be. And I can promise you, during this coronavirus, nobody thinks it's good timing for anything. But we're going to have a city to run after this is over, and we've got to continue to plan for the future. You asked me 4 weeks ago where the money was going to come from to fund this position. We quickly identified salary savings of almost twice what this position is going to cost this year. So, and since that time, Colby, and it's no secret that Colby Fulfer is who I hope to place in this position. Colby's been, and that's not that doesn't have to be really germane to this discussion, and you all understand that I'm asking for funding for the position. But he's been volunteering his time, and I've already seen great value, and I hope, I think probably you have too, whether you knew it came from Colby or not, great value to what he brings to the table for our city. I would really appreciate looking past the obvious. I mean, if you ask the person on the street, is now a good time to hire anybody? Most would say no. But we've got to look past what the casual observer would see. You know facts that maybe others don't, and you know the structure of our business. You know and of our organization. You know Wyman's role, and I think you agree that this is an important plan. I think every one of you to a person almost have told me that. So it becomes a matter of timing with those who, it seems to, with those who have opposed this. So my ask is that you look past the timing, that we look at for the future of the city, and that we fund this position so that we can get someone in place to be really training, working hand in hand with Wyman and with me for that eventual day when Wyman retires. So this is really a temporary position. But I know you understand when I say I can't say how temporary, because at most, if Wyman retires in early 2022, then this position will go on through next year. But the eventual plan for this position, and there may be some transition in between. There may be a way to decrease one and increase another as time goes on. We don't know yet. We don't know what we don't know. But the eventual plan is for this less expensive and less funded position to become our future director of administration. So it's not a permanent position we're adding, but I understand the heartburn it can cause when I can't say when the position will end, but I hope you understand all the reasons that play into why I cannot say that right now. And I hope you'll support this position. I think it's important for our city, and I think our city will understand when we're planning for the future. Everybody's planning for the future, wanting to get out of this mess. And we've more than identified plenty of savings to help us through that, and much of that with Colby's help, by the way. So I hope that you will support this position, and that's all I've got to say. And with that, I'll read the title. Go ahead.
The resolution title is a resolution authorizing the creation of a new position and appropriating funds for the new position.
To get the discussion going, I'll move the resolution pass.
Thank you, Kathy.
Get it.
We have a motion and a second. All right. Further discussion, comments before we vote?
Yeah, Doug, I'd like to make a comment. In the military, whenever we have people in key positions or leadership positions, we have a terminology called left seat, right seat, to where we bring a qualified individual in. They may be qualified, but they sit along beside that leader in that critical position and actually get spun up on that position before that person who's in it there leaves out, so it's a smooth transition. And I take that military stance to this. This is a very, very important position, and it works very well in the military that we do that. And I think that that's critical for this here. We do have, I mean, Springdale's growing, and it's going to continue to grow. The coronavirus is not going to stop us growing. And this position is critical. And I would like to use that, and I think that you're doing it, Doug, unknowingly, the left seat, right seat concept of getting that individual in and get them spun up. So when that individual leaves, that it's a smooth transition. So I think it's a good deal.
All right, thanks, Brian. Other comments?
I would like to add, same thing in the school district. You know, you don't lose a principal and just put usually not a teacher in there. It's usually an assistant principal, somebody who has worked alongside the principal, who's moved up, you know, and is ready for that position. So it's the same kind of thing, and they're not stopping because of the virus that we're seeing now. My son's school, the principal stepped down. They immediately moved somebody from an assistant principal position in another school up to her position. So they're prepared for that. They're ready. I feel like we should be ready too.
Okay.
And I will never have a problem spending money on a position where you have a return on your investment. And I feel like this position will give us a return on our investment.
Thanks, Amelia. Other comments or questions?
Mayor, it's no secret, I'm the one that played the timing card. And I only say that, I like the position. I think we're on the back side of this. And when I say timing, that was brought to us at the State of the City in February, March. So it wasn't that long ago. It is a key position. All I was using the timing for was the fact that, good or bad, it's just speculation. That's all we're doing right now, is speculating what's going to happen. Nobody knows. I was looking for 60 to 90 days to at least get a little clarity to see where we're at. I appreciate what you're doing. If it passes, I'm behind it. I'm behind Colby. But right now, I can't support it for those reasons. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Thanks, Mike.
There's no question about Kobe's ability, intelligence, and contribution to make to the city. And I don't think a stumbling block is because of the virus. I think the stumbling block right now, for me, is the unknown about what our revenues are going to be. There are projections of losses anywhere from 18 to 30% in our revenue stream. And I think until we really see some numbers, actual numbers coming in, because we have all different kinds of reports, none of which have been consistent to really give us a close picture, nor can anybody give us one right now. And at this point in time, I just feel uncomfortable making a commitment. There's no question that this is going to happen, and it should. I just think we need to have a real clear understanding, because we could very well be facing a point in time where we're going to have to something that hadn't happened before. We're going to have to see people lose their jobs or get laid off from jobs if the revenue stream so dictates it. So I think that's something that we need to be cognizant of and be cautious about. And again, this is an excellent move, and it will happen. I think at this point in time, it might be premature.
Well, I appreciate those comments, and I hope that we can look past, Mike, you're right, estimates are all over the place. I think we've got some pretty good estimates and some pretty good idea, depending on when this opens up. I mean, nobody can answer what they don't know, but you've been presented with some options, even at the last committee meeting, and under Jeff's finance committee, that we've got a pretty good cushion of options that we can take if we need to. And my My argument is that for $53,000 for the remainder of this year, we're going to gain much more than that, kind of to Amelia's point about the ROI. We're going to gain much more than that. And I know to the public that just take a cursory view of this, that when we have businesses struggling and we have, but on the other hand, Walmart's hiring hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, there are parts of our economy that are doing okay. We've got, we don't know how our sales tax is going to get hit. I'm upfront with everybody. We're going to take a hit, but we don't know how much. But if it's 5%, we've already taken care of all that, more than that, just by the refinance y'all approved. I mean, I don't want to look at things through rose-colored glasses, but I choose to be optimistic, and I know that we're not going to hit that. I am confident we're not going to hit 15 to 18%, and but I'm no economist either, and you can get an opinion from anybody on anything, and there's a lot of experts out there, and I will readily admit that I'm not one. But I think for $53,000 for the remainder of this year, when we've already found that almost twice that amount just in salary savings, and knowing that for this year, another $720,000 in savings on the refinance, which next year will become $950,000. I hope y'all can look past your concerns, and we'll have other options we can take if we have to, but let's not put us in a bind in the future by not having someone ready to take a very key position. That's my ask. And any other comments before we vote?
Just one more. Just that I think for me, in just tonight, seeing the $300,000 spent, which I think is necessary for the offices at the rec center, but you don't have return on your investment there. That you're investing in the structure, and this is $53,000, which will make us, if you think about needs assessments alone, I know that was part of the job description. I wouldn't say waste, but we could save tens of thousands of dollars a year by using the person at this position to do our needs assessments, for us. There's so much savings that we're not looking at, and I have a hard time saying that it's okay that we spend a large chunk of money here, but we're not willing to spend a much smaller amount of money, knowing that that position can save the city money, save the taxpayers money. I think I'll just end with that, but that's how I feel.
Just, and not that you'd need to be reminded of this, council, but the only reason we exist, I told somebody today, the only reason the city government exists is to return services to its residents. And that's going to be, that responsibility is going to be here after this virus is long gone. And I know, I understand what some of you are struggling with here. I understand the heartburn that everybody's got, and it's not just us, it's businesses, but if you plan on your business continuing, you've got to find a way to make investments in key areas where you know you're going to need them in the future. And that's the way I see this. So any other comments before we vote? Yes, Kathy?
I know, I apologize. It's really hard to talk through this thing, and I apologize.
Yeah.
I've had a couple questions from people that sent emails today.
Okay.
First of all, I am in favor of this position. I think it's a really good plan.
Mm-hmm.
One of the comments was about the law regarding a councilman resigning and then being part of
Right.
being hired by the city. That's one. Another one was regarding not it being in an open position, a job that people could apply for because of the diversity in our city. People wanted to know, I've had 3 questions about that today. why that wasn't, we're not going to post the job and do that. And the third one was, to the others' points, why could this not wait another 60 to 90 days before this is done? Those are my points.
Or I'll let Ernest handle the legal one. Yeah.
There is a state statute that provides, basically in a nutshell, that an elected city council member cannot be appointed to any municipal office until after they've been off the city council for a year. And the way, I think it's important to put this on the record, if this was to pass, that this job description for this new position it's assistant to the mayor. And it's been written such that it is, in the opinion of, my opinion, also in the opinion of the Arkansas Municipal League, that this does not rise to the level of a municipal office. Not every city employee is considered a municipal office. There's AG's opinions out there to talk about it. Building officials, for example, that's certainly a municipal office. They have supervisory authority. They're a department head. This is merely...
They can impose fines.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But this position, the way that this assistant to the mayor job description is written, it's written with full knowledge of this statute and what it says, and it's written such as it's the intent that it's not to be considered a municipal office, and the responsibilities and the duties of this job description were written with that statute in mind. And I know I've received comment about it. I'm sure some of you all have as well about that being concerned about that statute. But as I mentioned, the job description was written with that statute in mind. It's written as a city employee, not as a municipal office in the eyes of the law.
Okay. Well, Kathy, I'll address your other questions. Concerning the, there was one before it being an open position that I don't advertise for. What was you had 3 points, I think.
The third one was, why can we not wait another 60 to 90 days
Okay.
until we know what the revenues will look like when we've had a little time?
Let me answer the last one first,
Okay.
and then come back to that one. And you may have to remind me which one that was. But the comment about advertising for the position, this is a position, and I know Wyman can attest to this. When I came in as mayor, Wyman and I needed to get to know each other a little bit. And but this is a position that every bit as much as ability and people skills and all the things that are important for this position, every bit as important for this position is someone that has my trust. We work very closely together. Wyman and I certainly share that. We can be very open and honest with each other, and I trust. I don't always follow his advice, but I trust where his advice is coming from, and that's vitally important. I believe that the ability to train someone that I do have a confidence in, I think is vitally important. I appointed Chad Wolf to Parks Director. Didn't advertise because I just had a strong belief that Chad was the right person for the job. I have a strong belief that in this case, Colby Fulfer is the right person for this job to work with Wyman and with me. And you know, I'm kind of delving off into an area that's really doesn't necessarily need to be a part of this discussion, because this is about funding a position. Anything beyond that, and please take this in the spirit in which it's given, but anything beyond that is really my decision. And I know you know that. I know you know
We had
that.
that discussion.
Yes.
I'm bringing this forward because people contacted me.
Right.
People need to know
Yeah.
what this thought process is and the,
Right.
and the reasons why.
And I would be happy to tell them the same thing, Kathy, and I would be happy to pass that along. I appreciate that you brought those questions forward, because they're questions you're getting. And I'm answering those questions, but I just want to be sure that people watching and people following this know that that's really not what I'm asking the council to approve tonight. I'm asking council to approve funding for the position, a position that to a person everyone has said is an important position. So again, I think we're back to the timing question, which goes back to your second question, right?
Or a third.
First of all, the person that I believe is right for this position has been volunteering for the past month. I don't know if a few more weeks down the road, if that's still going to be available to us. I have no idea. I can promise you, when I had a young family, I couldn't work very long for nothing. And so I don't know how long this is going to be available to the person that I hope, that I believe is the right person for this job. The other questions, and Wyman's about to speak, and I'm just not going to go down that road very far, but we never know. We're not promised tomorrow. None of us are. And we need someone learning this position, I believe, ASAP. We've showed how we'll pay for it. I know, again, the timing's not perfect, but it's not perfect for a lot of decisions we have to make. So that's why I believe, I don't know, 2 or 3 months may not affect this at all. It may not be a problem at all, but we don't know that. And I believe, based on the amount of money we're talking about, and that and that we've demonstrated how we're going to pay for it, I don't believe that's a risk we need to take. I think it's an unnecessary risk to wait.
Another question.
Okay?
This is my question. If this is so important, and some of us are worried, could he not be hired as a consultant for 60 to 90 days? And after that, assuming all well works out, that position has been created.
That, my understanding is that's not legal, and Wyman may want to speak to that. The question about a consultant,
Why would it
Wyman?
not be legal?
Well,
If he's running a consulting business where he's consulting other persons, you can do that. But if we're his only consultant, then he's actually an employee under IRS guidelines.
I would disagree, because I know a couple of people that consult for one person. It is the beginning of a career. So Ernest would have to speak to that. I'm not opposed to you, Colby, at all. I think you know that. My concern is the others have said. And so I'm just asking as an option.
I've been advised that that is a violation of state statute. I don't know if it's because it's a municipal employee. I don't know what all's behind that, and I didn't look at the statute, Wyman. So Wyman brought that to my attention this morning.
I'd like to make a couple of points if I could, please.
Okay, go ahead.
One is not having someone trying to take my position could cost us much more than what this salary is. Missing one opportunity to refinance or in budgeting can cost you a lot more than this. We had to make one decision on the refinancing that actually made us $2 million more than if we'd made the wrong decision. Well, if you're not trained and have the experience to know that, you might make the wrong decision and cost $2 million of revenue. The opportunity that he's got right now to learn how to manage a disaster doesn't happen every year. It's been quite some time since the ice storm, where you can get some valuable training and learning going through one of these events. You see the decision-making procedures go through and see the implementation, and that training is very valuable. So I think the timing is perfect.
Thank you, Wyman.
Wyman, I saw a quote in the paper today that says that you have intention to retire in 2022.
I'd like a couple months in my new office before
That 2022?
Yeah.
Correct.
2022.
Early 2022. We should be in the building late 2021.
Correct.
Yeah.
So how much is the annual salary?
Annual salary is $60,000 plus benefits.
Whoa.
The annual salary. We're talking about,
60,000? Because we're talking 50-something in this.
well, this for the remainder of this year.
It's
That's for the
prorated.
remainder of this year, and that includes all benefits, the 54,000.
So there's only 5,700 of 60 been used up in 3
Well,
months?
again, that 54,000 includes benefits.
On the 60 doesn't include benefits?
Right, the 60 is salary, right. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Kathy, I have a quick question. You got emails concerned about the, with not waiting that time period. Should we be concerned, or do you think that we'll receive emails on not waiting on the 300,000? Do you
I
think
didn't
that
receive-
people will have the
I received
same,
nothing about that.
same concerns?
I have heard nothing regarding that expense.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I think we're ready to vote. Denise?
Jay Cox,
I'm trying to ask Ernest.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
We can go back. What? Go ahead. Ernest.
I haven't been asked to specifically research that issue, but I can tell you, we have a specific ordinance on folks doing business with the city, and I think, without doing any research, that it probably would run afoul because it would allow someone to do an end run around the statute that I was referencing before. In my opinion, someone could say, well, you're doing it as a consultant instead of hiring them to a municipal office, and I think that might be a way to do an end run. I'm happy to do some research should
What
you
about
guys decide to
temporary
do that.
workers? We hire temporary workers.
I don't know if we still, do we still?
Well, but we have, whether we still do or not, we
We have in the
have.
past, yeah.
So why couldn't it be a temporary position?
That's not what he's asking for, I don't think. so.
I understand. Part of my problem is creating a position. And that's why, Kathy's suggestion on the consultant is possibly not creating a new position. I'm wondering if your concern is the consultant, okay, well, like Wyman says, he doesn't have a consulting firm. We've hired temporary people in the past, temporary jobs.
But will a consultant?
Let me ask this, and Colby and I have not talked about this at all. But if we could create this position, well, really, y'all are going to have the say to say whether this continues next year or not anyway, when we do the budget.
Election's in November. Oh, you mean, yeah, but if Wyman goes to 2022, question is whether or not it continues,
Right.
the position continues on.
Well, my contention will be that he'll be worth every bit of $60,000 next year too, plus benefits. But y'all are going to have the say when we present the budget with that position in it. You're still going to have ultimate say over whether we fund this next year or not. And we'll certainly know more by then.
My concern on making it a consultant type position is that, does that really plan for the succession? Does it really plan for the succession, which is what I really feel it like Wyman is and the mayor asking for? That's my concern with that.
Yeah. I mean,
As far as paying for it, that's one thing,
Right.
but when you're looking at the big picture, I don't think that fills that.
and I don't pretend to speak for Colby, but he's got a career to plan too, and I think he's got some reasonable expectation that this is a job with some security. But again, ultimately, when the budget's presented, you'll determine whether it's funded next year or not. This can be a temporary position if you deem it to be. I'm asking for the rest of this year.
I think that's almost an impossible position to put any of us in, because we know that this is an important position, that it is really part of the longer succession plan for our city,
Right.
for our government. The concern is, we're just looking at the revenue numbers that we just don't have a plan for. It's like this virus, all the modeling for the virus. Remember in the beginning, the number of people that were supposed to get sick and die based on the data that was plugged in? Now all those numbers are different. So-
Yeah, they're all lower.
Which is good.
Right,
But
that's very good.
Yes, of course, everybody's excited about
Mhm.
it. So my only point is, I understand, and I'm in that same position, of why can we not, I've heard your answer, but a 60, 90-day window, knowing full well that this position is going to happen in all probability? but just until that level of confidence is reached. I'm sorry if I'm being difficult, that's not my intention.
I know it's not, and I know everybody's got good questions. I've presented what I've presented. I think it's the right way forward for the city, and there's a time when push comes to shove, and I have to make a decision, and I'm very strong in that.
I
And
understand.
if it doesn't pass, then I'll revisit it. You'll see it again. But I hope that we can look past some of those concerns for a $53,000 expenditure for the remainder of this year, knowing that if it's not working out when budget time comes around, then y'all are going to have every opportunity to bring those concerns forward then. I believe the benefits far outweigh the concerns, or I wouldn't have brought it forward, and I'll continue. So, with all that said, I think if there are no more comments, I think we're ready to vote.
Jay Cox?
No.
Williams?
Yes.
Watson? Overton?
No.
Lawson?
No, ma'am.
Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Powell?
Brian?
Yes.
3 votes for, 4 votes against, the resolution does not pass.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we will turn it over to the Public Vehicle Commission, Chairman Kathy Jaycox. Kathy?
Good evening. We have a resolution approving an application for a taxi cab. I'm sorry, we're having a public hearing first regarding the resolution for an application for a new taxi cab operator permit. So how do we do that? Are there any,
Well, the city council is required to hold a public hearing on the application for the taxi cab operator permit filed by Taylor Taxi. So I guess it would be appropriate to ask if there, I believe the applicant is here, and I know that, I believe Sergeant Bell Police Department is probably going to want to comment on this as well.
Mr. Insall here? Thank you.
Kathy, who would you like to start with?
The applicant's,
Oh, with the applicant? Okay.
he's here.
Mr. Insall?
All those people ready to come in at the
Do
same
we have
time?
this many people in here?
I'm sorry. This is, going to begin
Yeah,
with Mr. Insall.
we're going to have to let.
Just the person.
Just him in first.
Just, the others can, they'll have their chance,
Yes.
just one at a time, please. Yes.
Well, and others as they need to speak, but let's keep them out there until, not bring them all in at once.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us why you are, we know there's a need for a cab service. Would you like to tell us about yourself?
Yes,
And your
ma'am.
service.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. I appreciate it. I know we got off kind of on the wrong foot in the last meeting. I apologize for that. There is a little tension between me and a competitor here, and he just got a little heated in the parking lot, but on the last visit. But I just want to say it is an honor to be here tonight and to be here in the city of Springdale. I know growing up in Northwest Arkansas, I really love this place. And when I was a kid, my father had a business in Springdale, and I got to help him, and that would have been in the late 1980s, going into the mid-late 90s. And I just want to say I have an honest business, I believe, and I would like to offer that to your city. I want to help people that cannot afford expensive ride service, and if you can, I can vouch for that by experiences people have had with the business. We are currently on a voucher system with the city of Fayetteville to take city taxi vouchers to help people that are in need of, affordable rides and who can't afford, to pay expensive pricing. And we also do take just like any other business, cash or card. But my number one priority is to be legal and to be able to come to your city and do business professionally and to be able to accommodate your need for transportation for working people or whoever may need a ride to work or wherever they may be going. I get a lot of calls every day from Springdale, from people wanting rides, whether they're going down the block or going a few miles or going back to Fayetteville. I kind of had a misconception of your ordinance. I didn't know exactly, the whole situation with you had to be permitted here to pick up. I thought if you were permitted out of another municipal that it would be okay to pick up, but I was dead wrong on that, and I think that's why, we had a little dispute with the officers when I was in the sting operation that was presented. I was a little bit upset because, when you work day and night, and the last thing you want is a ticket when you're going to pick somebody up. So, but I take responsibility for that. I was wrong. I was in the wrong. I broke the law. I shouldn't have been picking up without complying with your ordinance. But I did, however, comply with Fayetteville's ordinance and did get approved. And I would love to do business in your city legally and be able to accommodate the need that has been bringing my phone off the hook. So that's all I really have to say, and I appreciate you letting me speak.
Thank you.
Mr. Emsel, can I ask you a question? Do you know some of those people just walked in, are any of those people in support of your application? Do you know?
Yes, sir.
Some of them are here to
Yeah,
support?
the co-owner of the business is from Fort Smith, and that's Mr. Burnett over there in the black. He's
That's your
Yeah,
co-owner of
he was
Payless Taxi?
Yeah, he was with Razorback Cab for 35 years, and he's on the LLC as a part business owner.
Okay. He lives in Fort Smith?
Yeah, his residence is there, but he's also a co-owner on the LLC.
At the committee meeting, you suggested that you had a very good reputation in Fayetteville.
Yes, sir.
And it seemed like you said you kind of got off to a bad start here in Springdale, unfortunately for you.
Yes, sir.
And I recommend, and I was on Zoom, so you might not have known.
I didn't see you. I couldn't see
I was
anybody.
not here. I was talking to you on Zoom. But I recommended that you might want to try to get some referrals or recommendations from the city of Fayetteville as to your standing in that city and your quality of work.
Right.
Were you able to do that?
Yes, sir.
What kind of recommendations do you have?
Well, I have some people here that can vouch that have used the business.
From
and
the city of Fayetteville,
From the city
though?
of Fayetteville, yes, sir.
No, I'm talking about that work for the city of Fayetteville.
That work for the city of Fayetteville?
Yes, sir.
Well, you can call the taxi and
No, I'm
transit.
not calling anybody.
I don't have them here. No, I don't have anybody that works for the city of Fayetteville, but
You
I
brought
can show you-
residents from Fayetteville, is
Yes,
that
sir.
what you're saying?
I brought residents from Northwest
And
Arkansas.
you don't have any kind of documentation?
Yeah, I have documentation.
From the actual city, the
Yes, I
city?
do.
Do you have those with you?
Yeah, I show them.
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, I have the certificate.
I
of
don't want to
convenience.
look at your
Okay.
phone.
What do you want, the actual document? I can get it too if you need to see it.
You have it out there?
I'd have to grab it real quick out of my car, but I'd be glad to show it to you.
And what is it?
Permit, taxi permit, and certificate of convenience and necessity signed by the mayor. of Fayetteville.
That's just your approval for your permit there, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I sure do.
Mr. Emsall, how long have you been operating in Fayetteville?
Let's see, been operating legally since beginning of 2019.
All right. I think Mr. Watson was asking if you had any documentation from the city saying you've done a great job there have been no problems at all. I think that's what you're asking, right?
That's what I recommended at the committee.
Well,
meeting.
I got a certificate signed by the mayor and by the city attorney, certificate of convenience and necessity.
We understand that.
And I have the reviews on Google to vouch. There's 59 reviews by the people in the city that have all, that you can read. And we have the highest rating on Google for a taxi service in Northwest Arkansas. If you want to look on Google and just look at all the other taxis and look at our reviews, we have the highest rating. And that's Google My Business, the one everybody rates and gives their opinions. I don't know if that's a value, but that will definitely give you an idea of who's approved and disapproved and what the experiences they've had. It's Payless Taxi, LLC, and you can just
Any other questions for Mr. Imsall right now? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll just invite whoever would like to speak next. Maybe your partner?
Good evening. My name is Jerry Burnett. I'm from Fort Smith.
Sir, would you
Speak right into
raise the
that.
microphone?
Yeah.
Speak into the microphone, please. Thank you.
Is that better?
Better.
My name is Jerry Burnett. I'm from Fort Smith, Arkansas. I'm a resident of Fort Smith. And we're expanding out Payless Taxi in that area for Van Buren and Fort Smith. And Kyle takes a lot of respect in his service, what he does for the public. I'm a trucker right now by trade until we get our approvals in Fort Smith and Van Buren. Then we'll be in operation down there. And as a truck driver, I believe I'm reading the Google reviews. Some you can kind of cipher through, yay, but most of the time it seems pretty up and up. And he's been working 7 days a week, taking care of the business and his clients at a very good professionalism. And if there's anything else I can help you with, I'd be glad to.
Thank you.
Whoops. If you need this for documentation, so it's not hearsay, this is a letter application to Fort Smith and Van Buren. Fort Smith called me the other day, I gotta get one of these notarized, but they gotta have a notarized copy for us in order to have our public hearing.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, we appreciate it. And then there's somebody else.
I'm a
who'd
little
like to
hard
speak?
hearing.
Pardon me?
I'm hard hearing.
Oh, well, and this isn't helping the situation, I understand. Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right.
My name is Tammy, and not only is Kyle a respected person, he's also been there to help people out. I can't remember when I was stuck about a couple weeks ago in Fayetteville. Not only did he help me, he helps people that are in a jam and everything else. And, well, Stuart, he just charges way too much, and Kyle's affordable, and we really need in Springdale and Fayetteville, because my parents live in Springdale, a affordable taxi that we can rely on instead of having to call somebody that charges too many rates at certain hours. And Kyle's there when no other taxi will pick up. I mean, I called at 3 o'clock in the morning, no other taxi would pick up, and he was there to pick me up. And he keeps his car clean, he keeps everything clean and up to date. And we'd appreciate it if y'all would give him a chance.
Thank you.
My name is Nathan Russell, and I think that Kyle should be picking up in Springdale for everybody if they need a ride.
Thank you for taking your time and spending it with us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Folino. I'm here for Payless Taxi. Kyle's here tonight to get a permit for Springdale. Kyle is a professional cab driver, and I've known Kyle for 3 years. I work for Kyle. I'm a dispatcher, and I also drive for Kyle. And I also own a cab company myself. And Kyle wants to serve the people in Springdale with integrity, and he's very, very helpful to the citizens as far as senior citizens and other people. But I don't see any reason to reject his permit at this time.
Sir, can I ask a question? You said you have another cab company.
Yeah, I do.
Where
yeah.
is that located?
I live in Centerton, actually. That's where I'm from.
Okay, so you're not competing with yourself then?
Oh no, I'm competing with everybody. I'm U.S. Cab. That's who I am.
You work for Payless.
Yeah, I do drive for Payless, but I own my own.
You're not in competition with yourself?
We're in competition together, but I also own my own.
Okay. Thank you.
You betcha. Thank you.
Thanks.
You bet.
Good evening, everybody. Stu Larrabee, Fayetteville Taxi. I was taking some notes outside. I could barely hear on the speaker out there. I'm on 3x5 cards, so hopefully I can make this very short and very quick. And I'm going to cover some history and some of the history with some of the people outside until I know was here. I have rebuttal comments for them. When I was working for Bryce Curry and Green Cab came along, I transferred from Dynasty to Green Cab, and then decided to start my own company. I fulfilled the statutory requirements, Arkansas statutory requirements, proving that there actually was a deficit of taxi service in Fayetteville. At that time period, it was only at night, not the daytime. There was a peaking problem at night. Football team was winning. Everything was very popular. Dixon Street, the nighttime entertainment, was overflowing and needed extra service. I entered that way. I represented myself as not a 24-hour taxi company. I was going to come in and help fill the overflow, eventually growing to a 24-hour taxi company. I didn't lie. I didn't poach off everybody else's business during the day or anything else. At the time period, there was Dynasty, NWA, Down Under, and Green Cab all operating in Fayetteville. Really, at the time period, the daytime was well covered, including in Springdale and everywhere else. The nighttime had the peaking problem at that time period. Things have changed with the introduction of Uber and Lyft, and they've kind of killed the market. And nothing bad about any of the other previous owners, but they would still be doing it if the money was there, and the money has to be there in order to pay the people for being out there waiting for a call. The subcontract games really is illegal. It doesn't work. We're distributing federal monies to a subcontractor who can do whatever he wants. There's no workman's compensation insurance. That transfers the liability back to every city that operates with that. That ain't kosher. I waited for Springdale. Many of you remember I was here several years ago, spoke to, and forgive me if I say the name incorrectly, I think it was Rhea Booth Transportation. I know I'm not saying that correctly, but I knew that they didn't follow through. I knew that the need had been adjudicated in the committee meeting, as I recall, before that, and then they didn't fulfill, and I didn't come running right in because I really knew the need wasn't there at the time, okay? Now, with the change of basically NWA and Dynasty shutting down at night, I only started stepping into this because the nighttime calls for people that wanted to go get groceries then and there weren't getting filled, so I took care of that, made contact, went through the process. Now, since that time, the world's fallen apart in the last month or so, and who knows where things are going to go. There's not much need there, and there's a few problems with that I want to speak to. Kyle has posted a listing on Google as Fayetteville Taxi. If you go on Google and look, you'll find 2 Fayetteville taxis. One of them is his. Now, I have rights to Fayetteville Taxi LLC, so nobody else can use that. You can't brand it. You can't do anything in this state with it. Yet he has put up on Google another Fayetteville taxi, and some of the people that spoke, which I'll talk to some of their comments, he used their residential address where he does not live at on the north end of Fayetteville, so that Google, doing a search, gives you the closest person. So now, because he got a address closer to the Springdale border, when they search for Fayetteville taxi, they get his listing first and not mine. Plus, both him and US Cab are both using paid advertising, both into Fayetteville and Springdale on Google, to have their ads appear above all others. And I'm talking in the days when Dynasty and NWA were legal and operating and completely compliant. They are pushing their ads in above that, stealing calls away from them. Now, Brian Folino, there are police reports in this city on him. This was about 4 years ago. He rolled into Fayetteville, rolled down into the Walton Arts Center walk-up slots, says he's a taxi. It was plastered all over. It said US Cab. I started speaking to him. He only had State Farm insurance full coverage. State Farm stopped writing livery insurance in 2004. Therefore, he had no insurance whatsoever. I know everybody that is adjudicated, and I can tell you who's adjudicated as a taxi in Bentonville and Rogers, 0 in Centerton, what you have here and what's in Fayetteville, and that's it. Nobody else has actually followed through the statutory process that's required, and neither one of them have state or federal authority, yet they're crossing into Oklahoma and Missouri all the time, and the truck driver should know this, because that's a $46,000 fine for every day that you cross without federal DOT approval. It's not cheap, and it's 1.5 million insurance, which is why I have that. It's not 50,000. I have some problems with a lot of these comments from these people that Kyle has given free rides to post negative listings about Fayetteville Taxi and others. And if you look at their listings, you'll find at the same time they posted positive listings for Kyle. And when you really examine all the listings, people that have never posted a listing before are posting one listing and only one listing for him, and some of them are even his own names and some made-up names, variations of his name. You go through and you study them, it's like, it's ridiculous. Now, all the times he's been down on Fayetteville and Dixon Street in the weekends, there are so many instances where he has tried to cause fights with Dynasty drivers, Green Cab drivers, Uber drivers, and some of them I have notified and asked for them to call in and make comments and make phone calls and send some information on that in here today. He's been operating illegally for a year and a half before he ever got legal in Fayetteville, and that was one very scary incident in itself, because he got kicked off of Uber for being under the, for 3 complaints of being under the influence. He came to me, I get along with everybody. He came to me and wanted help and wanted advice. I told him, go take a drug test right now. $150, $200, what it's going to cost you. I've had to do it in the middle of the night. Someone runs into me. I got to go get a drug test. Got to pay for it, part of the business. He wouldn't do it. He sent me a copy of the phone conversation, which I did not ask for, of him and Google trying to get back, him and Uber trying to get back on Uber. He then started illegally, but the method he did is he used an old acquaintance called Sean Cerez, a felon that's done time in Mexican prison and U.S. federal prison in relation to drugs and money laundering. He paid him, and this is all, I can forward all these recordings. I've been saving recordings for the 10 years I've been doing this. He paid someone else to set him up on Google once he was no longer affiliated with Uber, and started taking rides illegally, and then they had a falling out. Next thing you know, this other guy's out here running. That's this gigantic meth head, who consequently in 2018 bought 4 felony cases, another one in 2019 to violate him and put him back in prison. A lot of these people that are here speaking to this, I'm driving down the street down Dixon. They walk out in the street in front of me. I have this on video, flagging me down. Turns out they think I'm the car, and we're going back like 3 years ago. Turns out they think I'm the car that Kyle is sending to pick them up, because Kyle is illegally taking calls as a taxi and had other people affiliated with him who nobody knew. As for both Kyle and the guy from US Cab, they have made hundreds of fake calls. Mr. Foligno has made them from his dead mother's cell phone account. It shows up on my system. All my calls run through a system, get recorded, and get passed on to wherever they're going to go. He was making these calls from Waffle House, Springdale on 48th Street, just harassment calls. Unfortunately, Waffle House moves its staff all over the place, and this is a year or 2 years ago. Some of the staff members that were working there were filling in. They knew me from Dixon Street, and I get this phone call. This guy's making fake calls from their counter. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I've caught him up here several times making the fake calls at the gas station next to the Waffle House. And I've had Springdale PD, and this been some time ago, go after him because he's driving around, and this has been for some time, in Springdale as an illegal taxi. Fayetteville ran him out. The videos I have on him, I just be driving on Dixon, he pulls in front of me, and all of a sudden, Mr. Foligno's driving on the wrong side of the road, going through lights, trying to escape me, racing onto the freeway, and lots of other things. I have lots of video. I have probably $3,000 invested in 3, 4, and 5 terabyte drives of saving video and audio recordings for years, everything. Someone wants to say something, tell me date, time, and place, I'll pull it up. Because of all the garbage that's gone on, I've had to do this to protect myself. Now, I'm the one that stood up against Fayetteville and got them to start citing Uber drivers, so they don't like me. And that was with my attorney at the time then, Brian Lester, who's now the county attorney. Feel free to contact him, because he can tell you the drama that we had with Fayetteville at the time over all of that. This whole bit of all these people that just go on Google and post listings and everything and manipulate the Google system, it's a mess. Now, for the second time in less than a year, I have complaints from Google stating that Fayetteville Taxi LLC is not fake, and I need to re-justify my existence and send them all my corporate paperwork all over again. I don't know who's making the complaint, and I can only guess, but it's the second time, and I think it's time I get to the bottom of it. Now,
Sir, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
This is going on for a little while. Appreciate your comments. Could you summarize them for us, please?
Yes, ma'am. I in no way can support somebody who tries to get in constant fights with other Uber drivers, taxi drivers, and everything else who helped destroy the required system and then wants to be a part of it like somehow he's innocent and doesn't have unclean hands. I don't recall, last week, I wasn't given an opportunity to speak, but I don't recall any type of justification where we've proven that at this time period, we need more taxis in Springdale yet, because until we clean up all the garbage that's going on, both, I'm sorry, operating illegally, I don't know what I want to call it other than stealing, until that is taken care of, both with 2 of the parties that spoke up here at the microphone, some other ones that Sergeant Bell's aware of, another one that got in this mix and is on this video that I just got tonight from somebody, another gentleman by the name of Good Shepherd Transportation that just announced himself, called me up one day, told me I don't get along with everybody, I need to meet him at the airport, and after 3 minutes I was done. I called the police and let them come out and find him. All these other people that are destabilizing the platform, we don't have, and they're causing it. They're demanding it, and yet they're causing the destabilization. We can't figure out where the floor is until they stop operating illegally. No disrespect, but first of all, it was unfair to the existing companies. I don't know why they didn't stand up and complain about it, but this has been going on for years. I patiently waited. I didn't come up here and steal from Dynasty, steal from NWA. Oh, they sent me calls. I can tell you many dispatchers and phone numbers, and if they couldn't cover it and it was something important, they'd call me and I'd come up and cover it for them. I get along with everybody, but this stuff of just working in the background and stealing this stuff you have no continuity, you have no stability, and them causing the problem should not be rewarded on that. Again, I have a problem. I don't think we have a finding that there is a need. If we have two, if we have three companies, there still has to be payroll has to be made, and there ain't that much business right now, especially in the last month. And things are going to be different from now on for quite some time. Again, we ain't going to have the light switch and everything turns back on to normal. I don't know what to say. I've had some writings from other people submitted in, and I have a video. Ms. Jaycox, do you have that video, or I can play it, or the one from there's a resident at Applegate who, before I picked her up at like 12:05 one night when Dynasty wasn't writing, so she'd go get groceries, had already had a big falling out with Kyle and a person from Good Shepherd Transportation. This is the video. I guess I can do it like this. I can play this video. It's only about 2-3 minutes long, and the audio should be.
You're starting to get a little repetitive. So
Okay. Well, this is a
you made your
resident
summary.
This is a residential complaint. A resident doing a complaint.
Thank
So
you. Good.
okay. Thank you. And thank you, council.
Thank you, appreciate it. Is there anybody else other than, is Sergeant Bell available? I just didn't even see you back there.
Good evening. Mike Bell, Springdale Police Department. I'm the sergeant in the service division of the Springdale Police Department, so I get to assist with the taxi companies and the ordinance as far as the police department side. I spoke last week about how I first came in contact with Payless Taxi, and I can go into more detail if you want, but that stemmed from some complaints that we had, taxis operating illegally in Springdale, which we do have an issue with. And so we started dealing with that. COVID has come along now, so we have backed off of that, and we'll wait, and we'll start that back up again. Anyways, Mr. Empsall was one of the persons cited, and he was operating in Springdale. I think he addressed that tonight, so I'll go into more detail. However, a couple of days after he was cited, he came into the police department. I met with him in person in the lobby. The reason I spoke last week and again tonight is the attitude that he had with me. He was confrontational, angry, very loud enough that another police officer that has an office close to the lobby came out of the lobby, or came out of his office into the lobby to check to see if everything was okay. And it was. He was just being loud and confrontational. I think we worked through that. After talking to him that day, I happened to be talking about that incident to another officer in my office, I don't know, a day or two later. And one of the officers that was involved in the citing him early March heard me talking and got a hold of me and said, you need to go watch the video, where we contacted him because he was acting kind of the same way then. I think that's the video that we made available to everybody. Hopefully you've seen that. My concern is I think we need another taxi company in Springdale for no other reason for competition. My concern, however, is that we have the voucher system in Springdale, or the voucher program, where we assist elderly and disabled, whoever gets to have access to that. From what I have seen from Mr. Insall is I would hate somebody in that position to be in the cab and have to deal with him if he was upset with them and he treated them like he treated officers in at least 2 cases. I don't know if he would do that. That is one of my concerns. In an effort to try to get a little bit more information about him, I contacted Fayetteville Police Department. I spoke to the sergeant that deals with taxis in Fayetteville Police Department, Sergeant Dykeson, and she filled me in. She was quite familiar with both Payless Taxi and Fayetteville Taxi, and according to them, or her specifically, it is not a one-way street. They evidently go after each other pretty routinely, to the point that she has told them, quit coming into my office with this nonsense. If there's an issue, file a report, prosecute, contact the police. We're going to deal with the permits, and that's it. After she had that discussion with them, she said things have gotten better. As far as Mr. Insall, she said that he evidently is a hard worker. She has not gotten any complaints from citizens about him. I don't really know what that says, because as long as I've been doing the position that I'm doing, I've never had a complaint until last week about a taxi company from a citizen. So I don't know really what that says, other than she has not had that come up. I believe, unless y'all have some questions for me, that's about all
Mike,
I...
is there just one taxi cab company authorized in Springdale right now?
Currently, there is only one taxi company, Fayetteville Taxi, that is permitted to operate in Springdale.
And how long has it been that way, do you know?
Since October of last year, I started sending out notifications to the NWA Taxi and Dynasty or Hog Taxi, encouraging them to come in and get permitted, so they never followed through. So just this year, it has just been Fayetteville Taxi when he got permitted a couple of months ago, I think.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If there are no more comments from anybody, we can close the public hearing. We have now a resolution on our agenda. It's a resolution approving an application for a taxi cab operator permit filed by Kyle Insall on behalf of Payless Taxi LLC.
Okay. Resolution's been read. We would now entertain a motion to approve the resolution. Brian, are you still on?
I am.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
There is no motion.
All right, our city attorney, absent a motion.
Absent a motion, the permit's not approved.
Okay. I will give just plenty of time to make sure. All right, not hearing a motion. Go ahead, Kathy.
I just have one more question. Is there a possibility is there a time frame when you could reapply?
I don't believe there's anything in the ordinance that says there's a waiting period to reapply. I'm not aware of one. I don't believe there is. Like, for example, if you have a rezoning, it's denied, you can't reapply for a year. I don't believe that there's anything prohibiting that ordinance. I will tell you, though, if he turns around and reapplies with the same conditions being the same, I'm going to say we've already heard it, unless there's something new that needs to be brought forward.
Okay.
That being said, Mr. Insall, I'm sorry, your permit is not approved.
All right. Thank you. All right, we're ready to move on to item 15, comments from council members. Any comments? Comments from the city attorney?
No, sir.
All right, nothing from me, even though they didn't give me a spot on the agenda. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Mark, Luis, and I know we've got others that have helped us. I appreciate all of y'all's hard work, especially responding on the fly. And also appreciate all the council who could be here tonight. I know that's unusual in today's time, so thank you all.